Our next speaker is a lecturer at the Department of Law, Faculty of Arts, University of K.N.Liyanapathirana, and she's going to deal with trends in collective bargaining coverage and union membership level in Sri Lanka. Our distinguished speaker's name is K.N.Liyanapathirana. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning, everyone. This is my research, Trends in Collective Bargaining Coverage and Union Membership Level in Sri Lanka. So I think for the development, trade unionism is a very important thing. So because of that, I select this topic. So first I will start my presentation with the contract of employment, because that is the basic factor of the labor relations. It can be defined as a negotiation between two unequal parties. These unequal parties are employer and employee. Employer is the always powerful and the decision-making party. And we can see that that party always try to draft and contract in favor of their own benefits. On the other hand, employee is in a vulnerable situation, and because of this situation, we can say this is not a voluntary contract. So in this context, collective bargaining is a powerful weapon. So we'll see what is the collective bargaining. Collective bargaining means negotiation about working conditions and terms of employment between an employer, a group of employers, or one or more employer organizations on the one hand, and on the other hand, the representatives of the workers. So now here we can understand in this context, with the collective bargaining, trade unions are very important. Trade unions as agents or representatives of the employee have to play a main role in such a situation, because with the handling the collective bargaining on behalf of their members. So when we look at the definitions of the trade union in the section 2 of the Trade Union Act number 24 1970, they have defined the trade union like this. Not only with that, in the ILO, International Labour Organization, have drafted two conventions of the trade unions, Freedom of Association and Protection of Right to Organize Convention, and also the Right to Organize and the Collective Bargaining Convention. Not only with that, UDHR Article 23 and the ICCPR Article 22 deal with the trade union rights. When we come to the Sri Lankan context, in the Sri Lanka, Section 14 of the Constitution and the Trade Union Ordinance, Trade Union Act and the Industrial Dispute Act directly dealing with the trade union rights. In Sri Lanka, trade unions' role has been a major factor, because with the project jobs, real earning, secure better conditions of work and life, and fights against exploitation. So because of that, trade union is a very important factor within the Sri Lankan context. And also, trade unions were recognized as the bargaining agent in the industrial disputes. We can see several landmark events with the Sri Lankan history. One, I will give you some of them: the printing workers' strike, the railway workers' strike, and the Carter strike, and many others. But we can see a huge difference in the last decade. With the changes of social, economic, political culture, with influence interwar and the post-war experience, trade unionism shows significant changes and emerging trends with their behavior as an instrument to protect labor rights. That's the positive and the negative trends. Anyhow, in my research, I focused on two major trends. One is the decline of active registered trade unions, and the other one is the cancellation of registration. And this is a qualitative research mainly based on the literature review done together with the principal survey. And my data collection basically based on the Registrar Office of Trade Union in Colombo. I did some in-depth interviews as the key formats with the Registrar and the Assistant Registrar of Trade Union, and some focus group discussions with the trade union leaders in several sectors, and telephone interviews with the trade union members of cancelled trade unions, and I used the participative department and also from the IT. And basically, when we discuss about the registration of the trade union described in the part 3 of the trade union ordinance. Section 7, it is a duty to the registrar of trade unions to keep and maintain a registrar of trade unions. Sections 8 and 9, it gives mandatory provisions to register a trade union within a period of 3 months, otherwise it can be considered as an illegal gathering. Section 11, 12, 13, 14 deal with the registration process. So according to these provisions, we can understand the registrar has given a wide power to deal with the related issues. So according to the statistics of the Labour Department on 2013, according to my research findings, 8,394 trade unions have been registered with the Registrar Office of Trade Unions. But can you believe only 2,192 trade unions can be found in the active mode? So we can see the difference of these numbers. And there's another provision. Every year, these registered trade unions have an obligation to send their progress report to the registrar. And otherwise, according to the section 15, registrars have power to withdraw or cancel the registration of trade union. That is a mechanism to handle this trade union within our country. But within year 2013, only 226 trade unions have sent this report to the registrar. Now we can see the difference of the numbers. And even after the final notice of cancellation, most of the trade unions did not bother about the activation of the trade unions. And nearly 1,250 trade unions have given notice about the cancellation. Only 10 of them have responded to the notice. And totally, 40 trade unions have cancelled only within year 2013. And what we can see with this? We can see there is a trend. What is the trend? The trade unions have been, this is my hypothesis, the trade unions have been just registered for a temporary arrangement, and members of the trade unions have basically only focused on 1 or 2 main trade union actions. And after their temporary goals, these unions were not interested in keeping the trade union in active mode or update and keep connection with the Office of Registrar. And even after getting the notice, their carelessness in responding shows that this is not just a mere negligence. It shows that trade unions only need some temporary arrangement with their demanding process. So, after my discussions and after my research, I found some of the main reasons. One thing is the political influence over the trade unionism of the country, and the other one is the social economic changes of the human behavior of the post-war situation can be shown as a reason. Most of the trade union leaders convey with me while I was discussing with them, they were fed up with the modern political and legal system of the country, and the betray of the trade union actions in the past decade have destroyed the unity of most trade unions in the country. And however, this trend shows the departure of the present trade unionism from the original concept. What are the major disadvantages? The society haven't any trust over the trade unions or other formal discussion forums. On the other hand, other informal gatherings will get the chance to emerge in the employment sector, and the economy and the country may get bad impression in the continuous labor disputes. And final results will make a bad effect with the foreign investments, and investors ever try to involve with the host countries with bad image of labor practices. So these are my recommendations for this matter. We have the value of the trade unions as a powerful weapon with the collective bargaining have to emphasize with the trade union leaders and their members, and should encourage people to trade union actively. And for the government of Sri Lanka, the legal community, labor experts have responsibility to facilitate trade union leaders to keep actively connected with the labor office of the country. The other one is we have to have easy access. And also for me, as a researcher, it's a very hard thing to access for the information. And this is my argument. I believe it will make some change to the